Hi. Okay, we've got to talk a little bit about the work history report. Every time I see the information that my client might be putting into a work history report, almost 99% of the time, if not more, something's going to have to be done. Because, well, I go through it with a fine-tooth comb with them anyway, because a work history report is so critical for so many of the cases, particularly the over 50 crowd, but also everybody else, because honestly, an old work history report can rear its ugly little head later on in a different case if you had one that you lost and then you had to refile. So you really want to do it right. So one thing you have to know is that when you are, for instance, the part that says, what did you lift and how far and how often do you have to carry it? And that is immediately followed up with the question concerning what is the heaviest you had to lift for that job and what is the weight you had to lift frequently. Frequently is 2/3 of a day. So it'd be something that you are carrying almost all day long. And a lot of times people don't realize that if you're carrying a pen, technically you're carrying a pen. And that would obviously be like super low weight, certainly under 10 pounds. But I have a good feel on many of these jobs, having done this for almost 20 years. So I'll see a job and I'll see someone saying that they only lifted 20 pounds under the question about what's the heaviest. And I know that that job requires an occasional 60-pound carrying. And when I say occasional right now, I don't mean it by the definition of the SSA, which is up to 1/3 of a workday. I mean sporadically here and there. So when we discuss it, I say, you're a home improvement store laborer in the garden department or in the building area where the cement is. And I'll say, you said you only lift 20 pounds. You never had to lift a bag of cement or a heavy bag of stone or, whatever. They're like, well, yeah, I did. They had 40 and 60 and 80 pounds, and that was hard. But yeah, sometimes you had to do that. But I didn't do it all the time. So it was only when, there was a delivery and the other guy wasn't around, you have to fill in and do it. So it turns out it was maybe once a week, you'd have to lift a 60-pound bag of cement or 80 or 40 or whatever. We have to get that reflected in there, because if that job requires that you have to lift the cement sometimes when your buddy's called out, or if there's many that have to be lifted and he had to jump in and help, even though he was maybe in the other department where that wouldn't have been as his day-to-day, if that kind of job means that you got to float and go around to different departments and help out, whatever the case may be, and you once a week lift a 60-pound bag, and you'd probably not have your job if you said, oh no, I have a bad back and I can't do that. That's something that you're going to definitely want them to know was part of the job. And I think that would be part of any of those jobs. So that wouldn't just be your job. That would be what would be routinely probably expected in the general economy of that job across the board, not just the peculiarities of your particular job at that particular time. So really, really, really important, because that would mean that your prior job required medium or higher heavy lifting, as opposed to what you had previously described it as something that would be light, not heavy. 20 pounds is considered light. So you just affected the entire case, because the SSA rides heavy on exertional. That's how they come to your RFC. So, and then one aspect of your case later on will be, can he do his prior job? Now, if your prior job was only lifting 20 pounds and you have a back impairment and you can lift 20 pounds still, but you can't do 40 or 60 or 80, and that's what you used to do in your job, by being accurate about it and by accurate, I mean, if you had to lift 60, you put down, that is what the heaviest you have to lift. Doesn't matter that you didn't do it every day. It's not asking if you did it frequently or every day. It's saying, what is the weight of the heaviest you lifted? Bingo. So you want to, that's your opportunity, because that might very well make that job undoable by you once they look at all your medical evidence. That's how they could come to that finding. If you put down that you only had to lift 20 pounds and they find that you can lift 20 pounds now, but you couldn't lift 40 or 60, you just lost. So when you are asked about the heaviest you lifted, you tell them the heaviest you ever lifted. Okay, as part of that job. I don't care if it's once a month, once a week. That's what I would do, because that is accurate. They said, what is the heaviest? So don't hurt yourself by trying to be, concessionary with them and just ignoring the things you didn't have to do that often. It's still part of the job. If a person says to, a Home Depot hiring manager, well, I can't lift 20 pounds. Can I still work in the so-and-so department where you have an opening? And they're like, well, no, you got to be able to lift 40 or 60. So this is really important. Don't blow that. If it was rare, but you had to do it, you put it down. And they don't ask you how often there. They just say, what's the heaviest? You check the numbers, or you put in other and write in an amount that they don't provide as an option. So don't add that it was rare. They don't ask you for that. Okay. All right. This sun is coming down, so I'm going to say adieu. But I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.